might have to do that again.
Just a beautiful place to come just for a few minutes of relaxation. And we came when the kids were very little and we just hung out in the woods. You know, they'd walk along the logs and they'd climb a bit of a tree and we'd play hide and seek, and it's just a really cute place to come with little kids. And then as they grew older, they'd cycle their bikes through, and it's just a really relaxing, very natural place. And just on our doorstep, so we're really lucky. And on a beautiful morning like this, it's just perfect.
The wood at that time was privately owned by the Barker family. And funnily enough, different parts of the family owned different bits of the wood. It was divided up into 5 sections, our little wood. It's only 5.5 acres, but it was 5 sections and different. And the final 2 sisters of the Barker family were the only ones that were left. And they owned most of it, and they gave it to the council. This is important. They gave it to the council on the condition that, number one, it would be remained fenced because there were railings all around it at that time. They took them away in 1940 for the war effort. And the other thing was that people could walk their dogs in the wood for perpetuity, forever. So it could never be built on. And that is amazing, because there's only 10% of the UK that is wooded, and only 10% of that 10% is ancient woodland. So it would have been built on. So that is a wonderful thing that was put in stone, that it could never be built on. It's in the Domesday Book. It's called Gipton Wood.
This is called the climbing tree.
Yes, to climb that one.
Oh, new record! No, because it needs to climb it.
To Tony to
And then I
he'd
come
like to
here
do.
and
Absolutely.
Hey look, hi!
Hiya, Funny again.
Yes. Yeah.
Hopefully the sun will be out.
Onion.
Let's move on from this bit.
We're going in.
I find it very tranquil. It's really nice. Me and Julie, who's not here at the moment, but she used to be the treasurer of Gipton Wood, do beavers, and a lot of the time we do litter picks in here, and we've done bee walks and we've done morning walks with them, because you can get a dawn chorus where you come in and all the birds are just singing and everything. It's lovely.
I just find it a really beautiful, tranquil place. You know, somewhere where you can just sort of breathe out and relax.
I moved here about 4 years ago. I didn't actually know this wood was here, so when I discovered it, it was a lovely surprise. And I had a dog at the time, so it was absolutely fantastic. And for me, it's a little bit of heaven.
I've always liked woods. I was a tree climber as a kid, and when I, of course, with the dog and stuff, I used to come here. It's lovely, it's great. You can't say as much about it. I'm not a poet, so I can't describe it.
I used to find interesting things for the children to do. I used to take them on flower walks, I used to take them on adventure walks, we used to play games, wildlife-related games in the wood. And on occasions, I used to take them in the wood for a midnight hike. Now, these were little kids, so it wasn't really midnight, but as soon as it got dark, and they used to bring lots of little lights in the hair and stuff, and they loved it, you can imagine. But on one occasion when I did that, it had snowed, so it wasn't as dark as I'd have liked. But the beauty of that was that we'd only just gone up the mosaic steps, turned left, going up the hill without a path, and 3 feet away, a fox just came and had a look at us in the snow. I've got a photograph of that somewhere. I'll show you sometime. And I mean, that made my day. The wood was, it was looked after until 1939, when something happened in France and all the men went away for 5 years. They used to mow the grass. There was no brambles. There was some nice blackberry plants up at the top corner of the wood, but they don't seem to be there now, where we used to pick blackberries. But there were no brambles, there was none of the wood avens, which, you know, all those little hooks that get in your dog's fur and on your trousers. Wood avens, which is a very pretty flower. I mean, the little yellow petals with the little green sepals peeping through. Very pretty flower, very small, but it does tend to take over. There's so much of it in the wood. And we have pulled up a lot of brambles. We've worked hard at pulling up brambles. And then people bought attractive ferns and bracken and put those in the garden, and they've got into the wood, and we've got a real job there. There's a lot of work there to get rid of. We've worked at it for years, trying to get rid of the bracken, because it doesn't do the bluebells any good, and we want it to be a bluebell wood, and we want it to be an oak wood as well.
If we didn't do any maintenance in the wood, the beech tree would take over from the oak tree, and this will become a beech wood. The beech tree has a smooth trunk. It's special. They are some of the oldest trees in the wood. We think probably 300 to 350 years. They're on a shallow sandstone rootage, but we have had the beech trees come down, but they're already regenerated themselves. We leave fallen trunks and tree branches to fall onto the woodland floor as they decay quite quickly, and therefore form part of the nutrients for the soil and the trees and the plants. This is a trunk of a beech tree which came down in a storm a few years ago. Up till then this was quite cleared, but because now we've got the open canopy, we've got all the undergrowth. The undergrowth that has now grown because of the open canopy, because of the great big old beech tree that came down, is now mostly bramble. The plants here are woodhaven. As a child, this tree fascinated me. It's a sweet chestnut tree, and notice how the bark moves round, which is very different to the oak tree, which is rutted like this, but straight. Look how that curves. Isn't that beautiful? This is an oak tree, and you can see the difference in the bark between this and the sweet chestnut. This is straight rutted bark. This is a hornbeam tree, which is often in parks and country houses, house gardens, as a smaller ornamental tree, usually lining avenues. But here it's managed to grow really tall because it's had the space and the light. So a good example of a mature hornbeam tree.